And good evening, Sword Family. Thank you. So, tonight will be the fourth and final, possibly. I don't know, because it is the end of the month, but as I'm sure most of you remember from our episode on numbers, 4 is bad. So I might actually continue this into December, just because, I don't know, I haven't really decided yet. But this will be the fourth episode for the Chinese female folk heroes. And last week we did Fu Hao, and I mentioned that I was going to ask my patrons for their opinions on what this show should be about. We got one vote from Dave that Carl stole for Wu Jiao. Then Dan and Rich both chose Wu Zétiān. And the only other vote I got was from Joe, who chose Fu Hao, which we did last week. And Trey didn't vote because Trey's been sick. So we got 3 out of 4 votes for the same person. So there was absolutely no need whatsoever to have an actual poll for just 2 choices. So tonight we will be going into deeper discussion on Wu Zétiān. Now, next Saturday, check my calendar to make sure. Yes, next Saturday will be December 6th. We can either go to a whole new topic, and I think I will open this question up to everyone. We can either go whole new topic and start over for a new month, or we can continue with the folk hero theme in December, because in October we did 3 male folk heroes. We did Guan Yu, Ip Man, and Huo Yunjia. So we didn't have a 4th one for the month of October because I did that on the Chinese quick change mask magic. So there were 3 male folk heroes in October. There have now been 4 female folk heroes in November. So if I did one more of each, or actually if I did 2 male and 1 female and just staggered them, that would be 5 each for male and female folk heroes. So if we did a male folk hero on the 6th and the 20th, did another female on the 13th, then the last Saturday in December will be the Saturday after Christmas, and I could conceivably just skip doing a show that week and let everyone enjoy Christmas and New Year's, and then start brand new in January. So, to all of my lovely wonderful, amazing sword family. What would you like to see in December? Shall we continue discussing these folk heroes and do 2 more male folk heroes and 1 more female folk hero? And that'll get us through... Yuck. That'll get us through until after the 20th of December. And then possibly skip the 27th and start fresh in January, on January 3rd? Or would you rather see just a whole new series of topics just starting next week? Now, I have sent a message to someone for a possible tea time episode. They haven't responded back to me yet, so I don't want to get anything like set in stone. But I am going to check because I don't actually remember when the last one was, but I know it's been a while ago. I sent several messages out earlier this year to some female and female presenting HEMA practitioners to see if they would like to come on. And several of them said yes, but basically said not right now. And so, as far as that is concerned, I know I said I wanted to stagger male and female. Oh, yeah, okay. So the last one was Sifu Cuddle back in June. So that was 5 months ago was the last time we actually had a tea time. And that was a male. And the person that I reached out to is also male. So, a further question for the Sword family. Would you like... Oh, excuse me. Would you like for me to reach back out to some of those female or female presenting people for a tea time episode in the new year? Because I don't think anybody is going to want to do anything in December. I don't expect anyone to be like, oh yeah, we can do it on, December 13th. I don't think anybody's going to want to do anything in December. So I can reach back out to some of these females and female presenting individuals and see if they want to do something to stagger the tea times for male and female, or I can just see if this male individual, not going to give away names, not going to do it. You guys are just going to have to wait. So I can just wait for him to get back to me and then go from there. So that's the questions to you guys before we even get started tonight. Shall we continue with the folk hero theme through December, or just start brand new next month? And should I reach back out to these female and female presenting people to see if they want to do a tea time so that I can continue doing male, female, male, female, male, female for the tea time episodes? So now that I have blathered on as an introduction for almost 12 minutes, let's go ahead and run through these few comments, and we will get started discussing Wu Zétiān. And as is almost always the case, first through the door is Dan Hollifield. Good evening, Dan. Have to watch the replay, have to go out this evening. Not a problem, Dan. If you have, responses to my questions, you can either, send me a message on Facebook or any other various means of communication that you may have for me. And, by the way, Dan, tell Lindsay that her berry tea sounded absolutely delicious, and I still would very much like to have her be a guest on Tea Time, where we can discuss the differences between British and Chinese tea culture. That would be awesome. Thank you very much. And there is Foxy. Have a nice evening, Dan. Hello to everyone and everyone else, and welcome. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is my PR person right here. Which is why I would very much like to get her a Tea Time shirt, but I as a po' boy, and I cannot even afford my own merch. So, that's why neither one of us have any shirts for my own show, because we're poor. And Uncle Carl is joining us. Got my little hat on, so I'm ready. Good. Put on your thinking caps. Wait, I don't have a hat nearby. Hold on. Crap. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Wait. How's that? Now the question is, can I actually sit here for an hour and balance? Nope. Nope. That was my little crochet wolf dragon that Trey made me for Christmas last year. I think that's only the second time that thing's ever been on camera. So yeah. Foxy has no hat, but a headband. Does that count? Sure. Yeah, why not? I could probably fashion some kind of headband out of something I have nearby, but is it warm? My head was cold. Yeah, I have my little space heater on down here because it's getting to be that time where it's like during the day after the sun has come up, it's warm-ish. So I only need my light jacket, but as soon as that sun goes down, nope. Keeps the longer hair out of my face. Yeah, you can as you can see here, I need a haircut again. Neither cold nor warm, just practical. Yeah. Very useful then. Most of them are, yeah. They're too plain. I want to glue flowers and pretty rocks to them so they look more like me. And then you would use them to headbutt me. And Kitty is joining us. Evening all. Evening kitten. Greetings for Kitty and more greetings for Kitty. And Ruby is joining us. Hi, everyone. Hello, Ruby. Greetings for Ruby. More greetings for Ruby. Ruby must have recovered from Creatives at Play show on Wednesday. Yeah. That one, I would say that one went off the rails, but I think off the rails for that show is on the rails. So that was just kind of par for the course, I think, on that one. That one was pretty wild. Not as wild as the crab style in the red dress, but, you know. Just barely, Carl. Well, all right. wild even for us. I don't know about that one. Like I said, that was just kind of normal. And there's our lone Twitch viewer over there, Midnight. Hey, Sword Peoples. Hello, Midnight. Hey, everyone. Donna here. My computer's down and Carl's trying to fix it. We'll be here ASAP. No worries. Oh, no. Yeah. Down computers are not. And there's our Kickbot. Go away, Kickbot. No one wants to talk to you. Foxy is enjoying the folk hero discussions. Good. And Trey is joining us. Hey, all had to fix a cat ledge. Glad I didn't miss much. No, just mostly me rambling about what to do, the next few episodes. Greetings for Trey, because Trey is awesome. Trey says, tea time when you can. That way you don't miss out on being able to talk to someone just because they don't fit the parameters of the time. Okay. Yeah, I can deal with that. Do tea time when you can, but we will fill in between with great random knowledge. Yeah. I just wonder because, for the most part, since I started this, it was male, female, all the way through. And then it just kind of dropped off because I basically ran out of people within our small orbit to talk to. So I had to reach out to other people, which was a big step for me because, I am a shy person. So the fact that I reached out to several people, both on Facebook and Instagram, and actually got responses from people, that alone is amazing to me. So the new person that I reached out to is, I will give some hints, but I don't want to give any concrete details until I hear back from them. But it's someone kind of tangentially within the Chinese martial arts community. And it's someone that Kitty introduced me to over on Instagram. Don't say anything, Kitty. Don't give this away. Don't. Because I want this to be a surprise. But it's someone that she introduced me to that I think would be an interesting discussion for everyone here. Now, whether they're able to do it, I don't know, but I think it'd be fun. Greetings to Midnight, and there is Joe over on Kick. The banhammer is mighty and shall be swung with more than just the tip. Yep. Just the tip. Waits for Kitty to literally say anything. Don't. I'm gonna. Oof. Okay. So, as I said, last week, I asked my patrons, which shout out to my patrons, Carl Witzman, Dan Hollifield, Rich Asplin Jr., and Joel and Trelena Bachman. You guys are amazing. Hopefully, if I get lucky, not that kind of lucky, shut up. Sorry. It just reminds me of my sitcom, watching sitcoms and having this stupid canned laughter. If I get lucky within, not while on stream. That would absolutely get my channel taken down. Oh, damn it. Midnight, Hey, I didn't say not to say any. I didn't tell you not to say anything, so it's okay. That's for OnlyFans. Well, yeah. But if I get lucky, either probably sometime next month is what I'm looking at right now. I will be able to get that that spearhead trainer that I showed a few months back. Here, let me just because. Yes, I have it bookmarked. Shut up. And now we do this screen share dealie. And then we do this. And there it is. This beautiful thing right here. Just based on the overall design and the look of it, I think, I can't say for 100%, but I think that it's made by the same company that made both my Hanzen trainer and my Green Destiny trainer that I have in the other room. So hopefully, oh, go away. I will, thanks to Patreon funds, be able to get my hands on one of these in about a month or so. And then I will be able to do a review on it so that if there are other people that want that particular shape of spearhead, I know. I'm all over Take a Breath. I know. Whew. Let me take a drink and see if that... Okay. So hopefully with Patreon funds in about a month or so, I'll be able to get my hands on one of those. And then I will be able to do various short form videos that I have been wanting to do, but I don't have a safe spearhead to do them with. The ones I have are all metal. And even the blunted ones, I don't, nah. But that's, yeah, like Foxy said, that's neither here nor there. So I asked the patrons for each of them to give me their favorite female folk hero in Chinese culture. And Carl, hey, Don, good evening. I enjoyed watching the puzzle stream earlier, even if I missed like the first hour of it. Carl gave his suggestion that night, which he stole from Dave, which is fine. Then Dan gave me his suggestion on Monday night, which was basically the same person. Carl suggested Wu Xiao, and Dan suggested Wu Zétiān. They're the same person. It's just one is a personal name, and the other one is kind of a royal title name. Then Joe suggested Fu Hao on Wednesday. And we already did Fu Hao last week. And then Rich suggested Wu Zétiān. So 3 votes for one single person kind of eliminates the need for actually putting up a poll. So just right then, on Wednesday, I went ahead and made the link for tonight's show to discuss Wu Zétiān. I was going to do Wu Zétiān all the way back at the beginning of the month because she is an amazing person in Chinese culture. Glad you enjoyed it, even though I am apparently a chaos something or another. You are. Chaos agent, chaos goblin, chaos. I don't know. But Wu Zétiān is kind of a big deal. Now, her name, Zétiān, kind of means imitate heaven. And her surname, Wu, is the same character as the Wu in Wushu, or martial arts. Now, the her personal name, Wu Jiao, I'm not 100% on that one. Oh, no worries, Carl. Don't worry about it. Back for a second, still repairing Donna's computer. Don't worry about it. If you guys have to watch it on the replay, or just have one person watching on one computer and go back and watch the other later, I completely understand. I fully understand computer problems, trust me. I don't know if I've ever actually discussed this in a Teahouse episode, but in Chinese culture, a lot of the time, you're not given your name at birth. A lot of the time, the name that you're given at birth is kind of just a placeholder name. Sometimes it's as simple as like the birth order of the children. So, you have first son, first daughter, second son, second. That's just a placeholder name. Now, you can have what's known as a courtesy name, which is a name given to a Chinese male when they come of age, usually around 20 or 21 years old. Women were typically given courtesy names when they're married to show that they came of age. Royals were usually given royal titles when they became royalty. So Zétiān is, I think, based on my research, is the name she was given when she became royal, and Wu Jiao was just the name she had as a child, as a young person. Now, I could absolutely be wrong on that. I don't know. Because Wu Zétiān was born in the year 624. Now, this is after Common Era. So she was born about 1,400 years ago. So it's kind of difficult to have really great records from that long ago. She was an Empress regent. She was also an Empress consort and a concubine. Now, what is the difference between an Empress regent and an Empress consort? An Empress regent is a female monarch equivalent to a king. An Empress consort is just the wife of a reigning king. She was also an Empress dowager, which is the mother or the widow of a monarch. So she had several different royal titles in a fairly short period of time. She is mostly the only female empress in the history of China. She reigned from 690 to her death in 705 for the Zhou dynasty. Now, the Zhou dynasty was literally the dynasty of Zétiān. It is also known as the Wuzhou or the Southern Zhou dynasty. That dynasty literally lasted from 690 to 705. It was her personal dynasty in Chinese history. So I'm sure that you can understand why she is considered an important person in Chinese history. Zétiān is the name she was given after death. So I was wrong. She was just Wu Jiao while she was alive. After she died, she was given the name Zétiān. She was Empress Dowager during the reigns of her two sons from 1683 to 1690, where she took over. And she is the only legitimate female empress in the history of China. Now, you have to keep in mind that during a lot of Chinese history, just like during a lot of history period, women were not held to a very high regard. I think I've mentioned this in like every single episode. So having a legitimate female sovereign, a lot of times when she's portrayed, she's kind of portrayed as manipulative and cruel, murderous. But recent studies show that she reforms administrative tasks, she expands civil service examinations, she supported Buddhist symbolism as instruments of governance. So, not the quote-unquote villain that a lot of people wanted to portray her as just because she was a woman. During her 45-year reign, China grew larger. She revitalized the culture and the economy, and she reduced corruption in the imperial court. Now, unfortunately, she was eventually removed during a coup and died a few months later. She started her imperial reign as a concubine of Emperor Taizong. When he died, she married his 9th son, who became Emperor Gaozong, which made her officially Gaozong's Empress consort in 655, which gave her considerable political power even before she officially was just an empress. And she began to control the imperial court after her appointment as Empress consort. When Gaozong had a stroke in 660, she became the administrator of the imperial court until 683. History records that she was at the helm of the country for long years, having power no different than that of the emperor. When Gaozong died in 683, rather than just retiring from imperial life, she broke with tradition and tried to gain complete power, refusing to allow either of her 2 sons to rule. And she officially took the throne in 690, changing the name of the dynasty from the Tang dynasty to the Zhou dynasty, and changing the name of the imperial family from Li to Wu, where she held a formal ceremony to crown herself as empress. So even before she officially took the throne, she was already basically running the country for most of that time. And after she officially took over, she's considered one of, if not the greatest sovereign in Chinese history, which turned China into one of the most powerful nations in the world. During her tenure, she introduced major expansion of the empire, extending it far beyond its previous territorial limits, deep into Central Asia, and engaging in wars on the Korean Peninsula and within China. And besides that, her leadership resulted in important effects regarding social class in Chinese society and support of Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism as official parts of the culture, as well as increasing education and literature. Now, she is also, as I mentioned when I talked briefly about her before, she also played a key role in reforming the imperial examination system. Back in the day, if you wanted to become a civil servant in imperial China, you had to take what is known as the imperial examination. It was a test to choose bureaucrats. And Wu Zetiān altered this system so that rather than familial connections, they were chosen based on their competence. So because of Wu Zetiān, the imperial examination became an actual examination instead of just being who you know. Instead of just, you can become a bureaucrat because your father or your uncle or your grandfather held a title. No, she changed this system so that the imperial examination became an actual examination. So that people had to take a test to become civil servants, and actually merit-based systems instead of just familial connection. Now, beyond just political leader, she also had an active family life. She had 4 sons, 3 of whom became emperor, although one of the 3 only held the title as a posthumous armor. The hell. And one of her grandsons also became an emperor, although that person was a controversial emperor whose reign marked the point in the Tang Dynasty that caused a sharp decline. So that's probably not something that she's particularly happy to be associated with. In Chinese history and literature, Wu Zetiān was known by various names and titles, and mentions of her in English have only increased over time. A difficulty in English translations that do not exist or did not exist in Chinese is that English translations specify a gender. So English titles: king, queen, prince, princess. Whereas in Chinese, there's just sovereign or prince or imperial ruler or royal deity. These things did not have a gender to the title. So here's a perfect example of the difference between Chinese culture and Western culture. The word for he in Chinese is ta. Ta. That means he. The word for she in Chinese is ta, which means she. It's the same exact word, the same tonation. It's exactly the same. Now, they have separate characters denoting gender. And the only reason that this happened is because when the West came over to China to learn Chinese, and they realized that there was no gender-specific pronoun, the Western mind could not comprehend this. They said, no, that doesn't make any sense. How do you know if you're talking about a he or a she? And the Chinese basically were like, we don't care. It doesn't matter. But the Western mind was like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. So basically, as a giant screw you, they kept the word the exact same with the same radical, the same tone, but just created another character to denote a difference between he and she. And this is exactly what we're talking about here. Royal titles did not have a gender-specific title. So when English speakers, oh, my nose is driving me nuts today. When English speakers try to translate Chinese titles and there is no gender-specific, a lot of times they will just go based on what they think it should be. But it's just, it didn't matter back then, and it shouldn't matter now. So back in her time period, the birth names of women were very rarely recorded. She changed her name to Wu Jiao after rising to power. And Wu was her father's surname, which she kept according to Chinese practice after marrying Gao Dong. Back in olden times in China, when women married, they didn't take their husband's name. They just kept their original surname. And in some cases, not many, and definitely not when it comes to royal names, the husband would take the wife's name. Her second husband gave her the name Wu Mei, which means glamorous. So Chinese people would refer to her as Wu Mei or Wu Mei Niang when they write about her youth. And Wu Zétiān after she dies. During her life and after death, she was given many different titles, including Hou and Huangdi, which are royal titles. But she was not properly known as Wu Hou, which is Empress Wu, until she received the title in 655. Nor was she known as Wu Zétiān until 690. She originated in Wenshui County, but her birthplace is not documented and is disputed by most scholars. Some say that she was born in Wenshui town, some say it was Lizhou, and some say she was born in the capital at the time, which was Chang'an. In the year that she was born, there was a total eclipse of the sun, which some think was a sign of the birth of a royal, and some are going to dispute this fact. Her father worked in timber, but during that particular dynasty, the family was relatively well off. Her mother was from the Yang family, who were relatives of the imperial family during the Sui dynasty. During the final years of Emperor Yang of Sui, the emperor stayed in the Wu household and became close friends to the family while holding appointments in nearby towns. After the emperor, or the future emperor, overthrew the current emperor, he gave land, clothing, wealth, and grain to the Wu family. Once the Tang dynasty was established, a member of the Wu family held several ministry posts, including governorships. Wu Jia was encouraged by her parents to read and pursue education, which was very uncommon for women at the time. However, this is also a thing that I have discussed with every single other woman we have discussed this month. All of them shook societal norms by educating themselves, by not binding their feet, by pursuing martial arts. They all, except for Wu Zétiān, I don't think she did any martial arts, but she read about music and calligraphy and politics and history and government affairs. And at the age of just 14, that's when she was taken as a concubine by Emperor Taizong. And here she became a kind of secretary because she could read and write. And this allowed her to continue her education. And she was given the title of Cairen, which is a title for an imperial consort that kind of coincides with a system for imperial nobles. When she was summoned to the palace, her mother cried when saying goodbye to her, to which she responded, "How do you know it is not my fortune to meet the Son of Heaven?" Which is, the Son of Heaven is the title for an emperor. Which then caused her mother to understand her ambitions and stopped her crying. Now, as a concubine, she didn't appear to be very favored by Emperor Taizong, though it appears she did have sexual relations with him at one point. But she impressed him with her fortitude and her strength. According to one account, the emperor had a horse that was so large and strong that no one could get on its back. Wu Zetian stated, "I only need 3 things to break this horse: an iron whip, an iron hammer, and a sharp dagger. I will whip it with the iron whip. If it does not submit, I will hammer it with the iron hammer. If it still does not submit, I will cut its throat with the dagger." To which the emperor exclaimed, "Do you really believe that you're qualified to dirty my dagger?" Now, when Taizong died, his youngest son succeeded him and became Emperor Gaozong. While his father was still alive, the future Emperor Gaozong was already having an affair with Wu Zetian. Emperor Taizong had 14 children, including 3 from his beloved Empress, but none with consort Wu. Therefore, according to custom, she was supposed to be confined to a monastic life and become a nun for the remainder of her life. However, Gaozong met her at the anniversary of his father's death when he was offering incense to his father's spirit. 2 other women were fighting for favor of Gaozong, and one of them, the Empress, asked him to bring Wu Zetian back to the palace, hoping to divert Gaozong's attention away from his consort, which screwed both the Empress and the consort over because Gaozong fell in love with Wu Zetian and ended up marrying her instead of either one of them. Gaozong became emperor at the age of 21. He was not the first choice for emperor, as he was inexperienced and had some kind of sickness that caused him to be dizzy. But his 2 older brothers were disgraced by the empire, and that's the only reason that Gaozong became emperor. In 652, Wu Zetian gave birth to her first child with Gaozong, a son named Li Hong, and a year later, she gave birth to another son. Now, unfortunately, neither of these 2 were in contention to be Gaozong's heir, because at the request of officials, Gaozong designated his eldest son, Li Zhong, to be his heir. Li Zhong's mother was another consort, but she was a consort of low birth, and the officials only did this to receive gratitude from the Empress's uncle. But by 654, both the Empress and the consort had lost favor with Gaozong, and they both joined forces against Wu Zetian, but it didn't work. and Gaozong gave posthumous honors to Wu Zetian's father. And in 654, Wu Zetian gave birth to a daughter. So she literally had a son in 652, a son in 653, a daughter in 654. But unfortunately, shortly after birth, her daughter died, with evidence suggesting that she was strangled. Possibly by the Empress herself, which Wu Zetian herself accused the Empress of murder, because she was seen near the child's room by an eyewitness, which caused Emperor Gaozong to believe that his Empress killed a child. Now, there is no scientifically credible information about the death of Wu Zetian's daughter, and some scholars say there is a lack of concrete evidence at all about her death. But there are lots and lots of theories and speculations that show Wu Zetian as power-hungry. Like we mentioned earlier, there are theories that she killed her own daughter so that she could accuse the Empress. There's also another argument that the child basically asphyxiated without any outside interference whatsoever. Because at the time, there were no ventilation systems, or if there were, they were garbage, and they used coal to heat things. And I'm sure most people are fully aware, if you're burning coal in an area with no or poor circulation, you can get carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, because of Wu Zetian's accusation, Emperor Gaozong wanted to depose the Empress and replace her with Wu Zetian, but first he had to make sure that he had enough support from the government chancellors. So he met with his uncle, the head chancellor, and repeatedly brought up the Empress's childlessness. But Gaozong's uncle kept finding ways to divert the conversation away from that. There were lots of subsequent visits by Wu Zetian's mother and other officials to seek support from the head chancellor, but they were all met with disappointment. In the summer of 655, Wu Zetian accused the Empress and her mother of using witchcraft, which caused Emperor Gaozong to bar the Empress's mother from the palace. Meanwhile, a faction of officials began to form around Wu Zetian, including many influential people. That autumn, Gaozong summoned the chancellors again, but one of them figured out that the summons was about changing the Empress, and he refused to attend the meeting, claiming sickness. Most of the chancellors opposed deposing the Empress. Which one of the chancellors basically flat out said, this is your family matter, so why ask any of us? So Gaozong demoted the chancellor that claimed illness and then deposed both his consort and the Empress, placed them under arrest, and made Wu Zetian the Empress herself. Later that year, Gaozong showed signs of considering their release, and Wu Zetian ordered them killed, which caused their spirits to haunt her dreams for the next few years. She came to believe their spirits were after her. So Emperor Gaozong started remodeling a secondary palace, which was completed in 663. And Gaozong and Wu moved into that palace, hoping to escape from the spirits. In 655, she became the new Empress consort. And Gaozong deposed Li Zhong from being his heir and designated Wu Zetian's son as the crown prince. In 657, Wu Zetian and her allies started to try and get revenge against the officials that opposed her ascension to Empress. She had 2 of them accused of treason, which caused them to be demoted to random prefectures, which caused them to never be allowed to return to the capital. She accused the emperor's uncle of plotting treason, causing them to be exiled, and they later committed suicide in exile. And one of them was posthumously stripped of all of his titles, and his sons were executed. After this, no one dared to criticize her. Probably for good reason. Empress here now and has a working computer. Nice. SSD failure. Oh, had to reinstall everything. Ouch. Have to catch up later. Parts I saw were interesting. I'm glad you think so. And there is Aunt Donna joining us. And Dan is joining us back from his lovely dinner. Dan, as I said at the beginning of this, tell Lindsay that her berry tea sounded absolutely delicious, and I still would very much like to have her as a tea time guest so that we can discuss the differences between British and Chinese tea culture. That would be a lot of fun. Now, we are only now getting up to the year 660. There's still a whole lot of stuff that went on with this woman. In 660, the emperor and the empress toured Bian Prefecture. which allowed her to invite old neighbors to a feast. Later that year, the emperor began to suffer headaches and loss of vision, generally thought to be related to high blood pressure. At which point he began to have Wu Zétiān make rulings on daily petitions, making her authority rivaling the emperor's. By 664, she was said to be interfering so much in the governance that she was annoyed with Gao Zong with her controlling behavior. She had also accused another person of witchcraft. Which caused another chancellor to suggest to depose her. The emperor started drafting an edict to depose her as empress, but she somehow received news of this happening, and she went to plead her case to the emperor while he had the edict in his hand. Being faced with his empress holding the deposition edict, he couldn't bear to do it and blamed the entire thing on the chancellor. So the chancellor and several staff members were accused of treason and were executed.
We should wrap up and do part 2 next week.
This is just getting into her reign. So we are at an hour and 15 minutes. Yes, part two, yes. Lindsay said to tell you she's about to make a proper cup of tea. And Dawn said hi to you in the background. Yes, we're at an hour and 15 minutes, and we're just barely getting to her actual reign. So I think we're going to cut this off here, and we will come back for part 2 of Wu Zétiān. So, yeah, we're going to continue this. Oh, me. We will continue this next week with part 2. And then we can do 2 more male folk heroes on the 13th and the 27th of December, and another female on the 20th, and that will get us through until the end of the year. So, let's put a bookmark at the beginning of her rule in 660, because there's still about 40 years left in her life that we're going to go over next week. So we will cut it there for now. Come back next week for part 2. And now Donna is saying hi to you and to Inigo, who's right there. Foxy is starting our dinner, so yeah. Night, everyone. Have a good one indeed. Good night, folks. And for those in the snowstorm still, thanks for that one, Joe. Yes, definitely stay safe, all those people in the snowstorm. We're supposed to have something tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near what most of you guys are getting, but we're supposed to get something. I will be back. right here on Monday for another Nine Dragons play stream. You will probably see me on Wednesday on Creative to Play over on the Indie CD channel. And I will be back right here next Saturday for part 2 of Empress Zétiān. Thank everyone for coming. Thank all my commenters. Thank the Sword family at large. All the people still in the path of the storm, stay safe, stay sane, and I will see you all next time. Zétiān.